A new daily fantasy app for prop bets is here, and it's called Thrive Fantasy. Forget the old school way of DFS. Thrive Fantasy has streamlined the drafting process and eliminated the need to do unnecessary hours of research by using only top-tier athletes. That means no more salary cap. You just build your lineup around a list of prop bets. Here's how it works. For each contest, you choose 10 of the 20 prop bets, plus 2 ice picks that protect you from any late scratches or postponed games. Each unique prop has an over and under point value assigned to it, and you will be rewarded that value if the prop is correct. So for example, if Tom Brady throws for over or under 250 yards, the less likely the prop is to occur, the more points the choice will be worth. You build your team score around the amount of correct prop bets you select. It's easy to play, so just check out the Thrive Fantasy link in the description of this podcast and get in the game with Thrive Fantasy today. From the Gotham Podcast Studio, it's the Ain't Hard to Tell Podcast, episode 61. Dexter Henry, Brian Fonseca in the building, and we have one of my favorite writers.
It should be the, but okay.
The.
I'll go with one. That's fine.
She came on with the sass already.
I like it.
I have a lot of love for her because we're from the same part of Brooklyn.
I could say that also, even though we just met. One of my favorite writers also.
Yes.
Thank you.
She represents Flatbush, Brooklyn. East Flatbush or Flatbush?
Well, Flatbush.
Okay.
Flatbush.
All right. I'm an East Flatbush guy, but it's fine. It's okay. Also a fellow West Indian from repping Guyana.
Guyana, yes.
Could be the other better G with Grenada, but we'll let that rock. It is Kimberley Martin, senior NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. Known her for years. Been trying to get her on the podcast for months.
Right.
And unfortunately, the both of us, we travel so much for work. It's hard. It's not like she was ducking me. It's not like she was hating against Pitt like she normally does.
No, this was no anti-Pitt stuff this time. This literally was Dexter's so busy.
Yeah.
That I'm glad he could fit me in the schedule.
Oh, see how she put it there? She's like, glad Dexter could fit me into the schedule.
You also strategically wore your Pitt shirt today.
I did, but here's the thing: it backfired. Let's just get into that real quick. It backfired because I came here. I tried to show Kim some love with the Flatbush hat.
I like it.
And I tried to antagonize Kim at the same time with the Pitt shirt.
But Kim is on cloud 9 because...
Would you like to explain why you're on your collegiate cloud 9?
You know what? I'm not even going to take a lot of time to talk about it because it just is what it is. Syracuse is just... That's the school you wanna be affiliated with, obviously. Not Duke. So not Pitt. So, it's fine. It's cool. I don't have to say any more. I mean...
You know what? That was like you know how people have the humble brag? That was like the opposite of the humble brag.
I'm not... We don't even need to talk about it anymore. I mean... Yes, my team went to Cameron. We beat Duke. Put up 90 on them.
RJ Barrett went 8 for 1,000.
Yeah, but I'm sure Pitt'll do the same. Put up 95 or whatever. I'm sure it's fun.
I mean, to Pitt's credit, they did get that big win over Florida State, which is not quite Duke. I know you're going to point that out, but they were 11th in the country.
I don't really want to talk about this anymore.
Listen,
I'm totally fine with moving on.
We can move on. I mean, there's nothing to say. There's nothing.
I'm going to say this. You know where I went to school, all right? I got nothing to say in this conversation.
Yeah, you don't. But Kimberly and I have had a friendly, for most part, debate, if you want to say that, back and forth over Pitt and Syracuse. I enjoyed when Pitt played Syracuse when we both were in the Big East, and now we're in the ACC. When we were in college, we had some good games against each other. But we're not here to talk about...
We're not here to talk about Syracuse dominance, no.
Wow. Wow.
No.
Wow. Let's talk about the takeover. We are going to move on. But we have Kimberly here, as I said, senior NFL writer from Yahoo Sports. I know Kim going back to when she was writing for Newsday, covering the Jets.
Feels like so long ago, right?
It does.
It was just August 2017.
Yeah, I remember I'll keep this real. I saw you and I was like, oh man, we got
a black person.
Not just a black person, a black woman who was covering the NFL. And to be fair, I don't remember at that time in New York if there was any other black woman who was a beat writer. There was none. You were the first.
In New York, no.
There was none.
Because at the time, there were only 2 of us, black women, beat writers covering the NFL. And my big sister, Shalise, was covering the Patriots for the Boston Globe. She's no longer a Patriots beat writer. So then when she left the beat, I was the only Black woman. So yeah, to be from New York, as diverse as this city is, and to be the only Black female beat writer in this city, it was kind of crazy. I'm used to it at this point.
When yesterday at the Nets media room, I found one other Hispanic writer. So there was that. We have the same thing in New York City. We don't have that many of us here. I'm Puerto Rican, just so you know. We don't have that many of us either. It's, very...
It is, and that was, what are we talking about? That's how long ago? Just to give people a reference. We're talking...
That was a year. That was a year and change.
Yeah, since you left, and she was still on that beat. But I've known you probably since, 2010, 2009?
Yeah, Mark Sanchez's first year, I was the backup on the Jets beat for Newsday.
Mark Sanchez.
Oh, we'll get into that. But we all look whenever
you thought he was gonna be the one, right?
I'm not gonna talk about it.
Tough time for Jackson.
Tough times. Yeah. We're not gonna talk about that. Yeah. We always like to ask when we have other journalists up here how they got into the game, so they can let people know. What's the Kimberley Martin story? How did you get into sports journalism? How did it all come about?
The one thing I could say is doing the unexpected. I worked in finance before I went to Syracuse for grad school. And I was honestly, I was a magazine major. I thought I was going to write for ESPN the magazine. I thought I was going to write for Sports Illustrated.
Wait, they have magazine majors? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
No, I really didn't.
Back, a couple years ago when I was in grad school.
I really never heard of this.
Yeah.
I'm not even
No, and I've honestly had no intentions of writing for a newspaper. And up until this Yahoo job, I've only written for newspapers. So I'm West Indian. So Dad wanted me to do...
Yeah, I knew where you were going with this.
Study computers or economics. Mom wanted me... it's like that whole... Get something that, we think you'll still have a career in 5 years. And I was like, no, I'm just going to... basically, my whole career is just not listening to other people.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because when we had Michelle Yu up here, Michelle said the same thing. Obviously, being from Asian background, family was the same way. Now that your parents see that you've had this success in journalism, what do they say now?
When are you gonna have a kid? That's it.
Dexter shaking his head.
That's it.
I don't like when people ask that question to women. I just think
it's.
Well, you're good. You had yours.
No, it's not even. It's not about that. It's not. It's about, I had this conversation with my coworker the other day. It's about the fact that, I've seen I understand it's your mom and dad, so I'm giving them a little bit of a pass. When people do it to women, it's just, you don't know where they are in their career, what they're focusing on. You don't even know, just to keep it real, you don't know if they want kids. You don't know if they can have kids. So it's kind of offensive to do that.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Because nobody asked my husband, what's going on?
What's going on with you?
Yeah. I think if I were a dude doing this, if I had been a columnist in Buffalo, if I had come back to New York and I'm a senior writer, columnist here, and I was a dude, people wouldn't even care. Oh, you have kids, you don't? Oh, you're focusing on your career. For me, it's like, okay, I've done this, and I don't even think I've scratched the surface of what I can do, right? I hope, because what's the point? You got to keep growing professionally, personally.
Yeah.
But the fact that, no matter what conversation, like, I did a profile of Troy Aikman recently. I was in Dallas.
I read that.
I did, and the whole point of the story was, you think you know Troy Aikman, but I'm going to show you a different side of the guy, okay? So fine. Do this, go here, doing profiles on these people, go on to Cleveland, didn't talk to Baker, but talk to everybody else about Baker to give you a sense of who Baker is. And it's like, you're talking about, okay, got the Super Bowl coming up, got to do that, Senior Bowl, all that crap. And it's like, so when am I going to get a grandkid? That's really what I want. You know what I mean? It's like,
You don't have time.
I really don't.
Like, you don't.
I really
also
don't.
Explain to people how much of this comes after you're married or engaged, from the pressure that you have with that, because that comes right after.
I can tell you, as a woman, it is amazing. Nobody is ever satisfied. You know what I mean? Like, out externally, nobody's ever satisfied. It's, oh, you got a good job. Okay, that's cool. So when are you going to get a boyfriend? It's like, I don't know. Okay, now you got the boyfriend. Oh, great. Finally, you're with someone wonderful. All right, so when are you guys going to, like, get married? Hello? I don't know. I mean, whenever. Okay. Oh, cool. We're engaged. Oh, great. Okay, so when's the wedding? Okay. Wedding, boom. So when are we going to have kids? It is always this, like, moving target of what measures success for women, and it is always tied to men. At least, I don't know if it's a West Indian thing. I don't think so.
It's not.
I really do think it's just society is just sort of like, okay, if a woman is focused on her career, it's like, that's great, but like, what about the personal? As though, like, the assumption is, well, you can't have a complete life if you don't have a man or kids, which, I mean, men are great, fine. Kids are great, wonderful. I don't have any yet, you know. But even if I got divorced tomorrow and never had kids,
right?
You know, there's more to me then.
There's more to Kimberley Martin than is attached to this other stuff. You know, here's the thing. I'm sorry, Brian, I'll let you get to 1 second.
Yeah.
If you do have a kid, you know what the worst thing that happens right after that is?
When's the next one?
Yes. I hate that question.
Yes. Because people just want to see you broke and unhappy. Because they just want all your money to be gone.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
I'm clipping that one.
Yes, that's going to be a clip. Because I'm like, no, I'm so with you. But, like, that's what happens. So go ahead, Brian.
It's crazy because, like, when those questions are asked to you, those are like some of the questions that you're trying to ask yourself in terms of getting more out of yourself professionally.
Right. So
to have other people, that's like a whole nother level of stress that I was just going through in my head. Like, yo, I would not want to.
And I don't even know. I see how it happens with other, obviously, women I know in all different fields. But, like, obviously as a man, I don't have that experience. But I see it happen to other people, and it's just like, ugh, that's got to be
real
so
talk.
annoying.
I could not have had the career I've had to this point if I had kids. I mean, it's just They are like I mentioned. My big sister Shalise. I remember we covered 2 Super Bowls back to back together when she was pregnant. She was pregnant one year. The next year, she was pregnant again.
Wow.
And you know the toll that took, just her being tired or her having to get on the media bus at 6 a.m. to go to this and stuff like that. But I have best friends who are literally the same age as me, with 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. And we're the same place professionally, but I'm like, there's no way I'd be able to jump around to different jobs, do me, figure out what I want to do if I had kids, So when people say, well, that's great, but what about this step? It's sort of like, I'm trying to be strategic about it. Like, I understand, for me, like, I got to try to get to a place where I'm comfortable and where not just I don't know if you're ever financially comfortable to have kids, but
No.
just get, you know what I mean? Just get to a place in my career where it feels like, okay, I've established myself enough so that when I have to go on maternity leave, will this job still be here for me? Can I transition?
Which women should not have to worry about.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I don't think other people factor in.
Yeah,
I agree.
Having a kid doesn't sound like fun.
I don't. As the one parent,
I always take it to the extreme.
No,
because I know
I'm gonna say having a kid is fantastic.
The greatest thing ever, right?
I don't.
Okay,
here's the
no, it's not
thing.
the greatest thing.
No, I don't want to be the person that says that either. I don't want. I feel like you can come somewhere in the middle. Like, what I'm going to say is, having a kid is fantastic. I obviously love my daughter. It changes a lot of your life, and this is why nobody should shame anybody, or try to force anybody into these decisions. And I think you can be a reasonable, as a parent, and say that.
Are you allowed to tell the story about when you found out?
Yeah, I can tell a story about when I found out.
Does Kim know
Kim
about
does
this?
not know this story. I found out. My fiance Marguerite called me, and I was working with another job I had before this, and it was unexpected. I don't have a problem saying that. We did not expect this, and she told me, and long story short is I had to go have a glass of wine.
You're like, I need to. You're like, babe, I gotta go.
Yo, that's kind of how it was.
I have a moment.
Hold on, let me just be clear. I did not leave her just hanging like that. Like, yo, I gotta go.
No, but
we talked, and
you had wine. You said
I did. I went and had a glass of wine.
You sat in the park for an hour.
No. I went to the Brooklyn Promenade. For everybody knows that is. I walked to the promenade, and I sat and I listened to some jazz.
I need to get in the right space, man. Got to get in the right
space.
space.
Look, being a parent's a huge responsibility. When you find out, I had to get in the right mind and be ready.
He said that he sat there sipping on. Was it
no,
the wine?
I wasn't sipping the wine.
Were you drinking in public?
No,
was that what you did?
Kimberly, I'm glad you recognized that.
But you were drinking something.
No. I had the wine at a bar. I left the bar and walked to the promenade.
And then you were staring at the floor. That's the part I remember.
I was staring at the floor and across. I was staring across to where we record here in Lower Manhattan. Ironically, I was staring across to Lower Manhattan. I just had to
get his mind right. Okay,
yeah, but Kim, you understand why I had to get my mind right.
Yeah, that's why I don't have kids. That's why I don't have kids yet. Because I cannot get my mind right.
Because when that comes, you might also have to get your mind right. There's no shame in that.
Oh, you took it way better than I'm going to eventually take it if I have one.
I didn't take it badly.
I was just crying because it's a great story.
The point is, I think what Kim is trying to say too is that look, this is life changing.
It changed, yes, everything.
And while I'm glad to obviously have a woman to come and talk. See, we didn't know we were going to talk about this, but to talk about this is important because a lot of times people don't talk about the career balance and the things that women have to face. You made a great point about the fact that you would actually have to consider whether or not the job would be there when you come back or how much maternity leave you would get. Do you feel in your career, you still worry about it? So do you have any security to that? If you think about that or you think about that for other women?
I think that you go on maternity leave, but you come back. And I'm not saying that like Yahoo would take my job away, right? But it's also it's just different when it's your kid that comes out of your body and you have to then focus on work and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's something I don't know. I think having a kid will be the best thing ever, right? And I don't know. Maybe will I want to cover the Super Bowl as often? You know what I mean? Depending on when I have the kid. Am I in a position where I might have to say like, yeah, that year can't do the Senior Bowl, can't do the Combine, can't do the Super Bowl. That's all stuff that I have to consider as opposed to my male colleagues who have kids, but their wives can be at home or they have help. You know what I mean? It's just a different thing.
No doubt.
It's also hard because like, excuse me, as a woman, when do you sort of decide when is the perfect time to get to that point? It's impossible. It's impossible because, like you said, you want to keep reinventing yourself, keep growing, keep evolving, and keep getting better.
Right.
But then, now is it the time, or do I want to continue to do this first?
I will be at that promenade. I will be drinking in public. I can tell you that right now because, I probably couldn't if I was pregnant. Oh, wait. Scratch that. No,
I was just about to say that.
I actually won't be drinking. Okay, sorry.
We can edit that if you don't want anybody.
This is how much I have not thought about being pregnant.
Right,
No, I will be just, can't even have coffee. Oh, my Lord.
There's a lot of things you can't do.
Caffeine.
Caffeine's not good.
I didn't know you can't.
No, you can't do the caffeine thing.
Yeah.
You can't have like deli meats. You can't do that.
I'm basically just going to be lying on the sidewalk staring up this guy like, okay.
Well, that sounds better than what I did. I mean,
not lying on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm just, I probably wish. I might have been more relaxed if I let.
No, but I'm thinking because like my mom drinks coffee every day. I'm like, does she have coffee when I was in?
That would explain a lot.
That explains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, that's no wonder you're so hyper.
I could see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, see, look.
And your mom.
He's doing the gaze eyes right there.
Yeah,
look.
you do. Yeah. I just want to continue for people how you got to where you are. You said because we kind of went off, but into a good place. I'm glad we talked about those things.
Right.
Yeah. How did Kimberly Martin get to where she is now?
And did you grow up a football fan? Or did you just kind of fall into that?
No, I fell into football. I was a Yankees fan.
No.
I just remember, but here's the thing. I just remember turning on the TV in 1995, and I must have turned on Channel 11 instead of Channel 9, and the Yankees were on. If I turned on Channel 9 and the Mets were on, cool, I would have been a Mets fan probably.
You probably made the more healthy choice.
But it's
we're both Mets fans.
You definitely made the more healthy choice.
Well, that's 95, and 4 out of the 5 years after that, they won the World Series.
Yeah, so I got in right the nick of time. However, once you cover baseball, it's sort of like once you cover the Yankees and the Mets, I mean, for me, that fan in me died. But to get back to how I got into all this, I literally always loved sports. Like, I was a tomboy. Don't let the cuteness fool you, man.
Look at the swag. Oh, man.
No, I really, I wore my dad's clothes to school. Like, I just was a tomboy and everything. And then, but I think when I was looking at schools, I just fell in love. Like, I went to private school in Connecticut, Wesleyan, which, by the way, where Belichick went, Eric Mangini went. Jeffrey Mayer, the kid who caught Derek Jeter's ball with it, against the Orioles, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. He was 2 years ahead of me. The guy who did Hamilton. He was 2 years ahead of me.
Are you trying to say greatness comes out of?
And he's Puerto Rican.
So. I'm just saying.
Because I saw how you tried to bring up Syracuse
it's
before.
Like the 7 degrees of Kimberley. Like, I just feel like there's so many connections.
I love how it all came back to you.
You know what I mean? I just feel like there's so many connections that I'm just waiting for some of that greatness.
See, this is stuff that I can't do with any of my schools. You know who went? Do you know who went to my college actually? Dick Bavetta. I think that's
true. Dick is.
I think that might be the only other. You know what I mean? Like, so when people ask me who went to wherever school, I'm just gonna say me.
That's what but I was gonna say. That leaves the door open for you to just like,
be
okay, I'm gonna be
That's
that
why
person.
I embrace it. So Pitt and Syracuse can keep winning. You know what I mean?
I mean, seriously,
I'll be over here trying to put my schools on.
No, seriously, because it's like, oh, Mike Tirico, Bob Costas. Okay, like
There's
really,
a lineage.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just too many people. You get lost in the shuffle. But yeah, no, I always loved sports, but I went to Wesleyan and they did not have a journalism program, so I actually studied psychology. I was a psych major, psych and African American studies double major, and then when I got out, I had bills to pay, and so I went into finance. So I worked at an investment management firm for a year and a half, and when it got to that point where I was like, okay, should this be the career? Sort of like, kind of boring. So I just remember being in my cubicle applying to grad school. So I applied to Syracuse and a couple other places, and I was shocked that. I mean, I shouldn't have been shocked. But, no, I legit was shocked. I was like, holy crap, I actually, got in. And then you get there and it's only a year. So you have a year to, I never studied journalism. And there were so many students that did this undergrad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why the hell are they here? They know this stuff already. I had to cram 4 years of academic learning into a year. And then you get out and I had like I said, I wasn't used to writing on deadline. I was a magazine track. So it's sort of like, oh, I have to cover a game and write a story in an out? Like, what? I can't do that. I spent a whole semester writing a 3,000-word article. You know what I mean? It's just different. So a lot of it was learn as I went. But yeah, I kind of did that, and I've been to Super Bowls and Derek Jeter's 3,000 hit and Giant Super Bowls. And
now your first gig out of Syracuse was?
I was an intern at The Record, and at the time, a newspaper. It was in Hackensack, New Jersey. And then I was supposed to be like their 12-month minority intern. And then after 9 months, I don't even think they do that anymore, but after 9 months, I got promoted to full-time. So I was like, oh, cool. I did high schools, did a couple, go to Yankees game and write a notebook, and I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Oh, man, I got to go to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's Mike Nucino. Oh, my God, and then after that, I went to Newsday, and I was high schools. And then, so it was like at Newsday, it was 2 years of high schools, 2 years of being a pro writer. So I did everything. I even did the NBA, which I don't even pay attention to now. But I did the NFL, NBA, baseball, college. So 2 years of that. And then, boom, I got the Jets beat in 2012. So my first ever beat in anything in life was outside of high school,
doing a high school beat.
Yeah,
right.
Was the Jets. And that's and I remember my boss was like, okay, so you got to pick a beat. You can cover the Mets, you can cover the Jets, or you can cover the Brooklyn Nets. At that point, they were just about to move to Brooklyn. I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want any of those. And he was like, and I remember 2011, he was like, okay, cool, all right. And then 2012, he was like, no, you have to pick something.
So you had to pick, right? Okay, yeah, because I realized I didn't know you before because I remember when Rod Boone was.
He was a beat writer, so I was the
Before
backup.
he went to the Nets. And I remember that's when I met you when you were the backup when you got the beat. And like I said, I reiterate this from the beginning. I remember when I saw Kimberley covering the Jets, I was just like, we gave each other the black head nod. black people would know exactly what we're talking about. I was like, oh, I see you, sister. Okay. I was like, I see you. So yeah, I would say a person here, I feel that way. Very was proud to see you, proud of everything you did. You even got an award from NABJ.
Oh yeah, 2011.
That's when I was like, yo, she's killing it out here.
Thank you.
Yo, I'm not doing this for the podcast.
Yeah.
This is everything I do feel. Kimberly probably's never heard me speak this glowingly about her.
No, I'm wondering.
Because she thinks Pitt people can't do this.
She's wondering.
Too nice. Yeah, I'm like, what's
She's like, what's the setup?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, he's gonna get a joke off real quick.
Right,
okay.
where is it all gonna come?
No, but in all seriousness, no, seriously. That's when I was like, wow, she's really killing it. Like I knew from the writing, but I was like, you always like when you see other people get recognized. Your path wasn't structured in terms of the undergrad path to the grad school, to having a magazine track, to actually writing for a newspaper, to what you do now. And we want to get to what you do now because within the last just under 2 years, it's been kind of
It's been kind of crazy.
Crazy, because you went from Newsday to Buffalo, to the Washington Post, to where I was like, oh, it's good moves. Then I was like, oh, and I think I texted you when I knew about the Yahoo thing, and I was like, oh, congratulations, another move again. I was like, okay, Kimberly's leveling up. I like this.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where people are like, oh, congrats on your new job. Because they're just like...
Where you going next?
They're like, oh, I'm sick of saying
Are people going to start doing the thing like the kid thing, being like, yo, so when's the next job?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Honestly, that's why I have to make the joke on Twitter myself. Like, anytime somebody switches jobs really quickly or a player gets cut after 2 weeks, like, Anquan Boldin was in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. He literally was there, I swear, like 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so when I left after 2 months, I was like, you know what? At least I was here longer than Anquan Boldin.
You were.
And I did my job better. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, it's gotten to the point where... some people are happy, genuinely happy.
Who's mad?
Yo,
Who's mad?
Can I
I want to see those people.
The extra 2-3 blinks may suggest that somebody's got a problem with you.
Who's mad?
Or somebody. You know what? I think leaving the Washington Post, because to me that was the end all be all. I was like, I have reached. I have. This is my mountaintop. I have.
So we're clear for the listeners. When you went to Buffalo, you were a columnist.
I was a columnist. That's why I left New York. I went to Buffalo to be a columnist.
And when you went to the Post, you were also a columnist, correct?
No.
Oh, okay,
so I was the Redskins beat writer when I went to the Post. And I went there, and they understood, like, okay, we know you're a columnist in Buffalo. We know it's hard to give up the column, but do the beat for some time, and then we think you can move on and just
sometimes don't trust that.
And I'm sort of like in the beginning, like, oh, we see big things for you, which I'm like, okay, cool. But then I think when you get in the door, sometimes it's like, oh, you just kind of want an idea, more of a firm idea of like, okay, so what's this track record? What are we doing? Mm-hmm. So I think I was fine. I was happy there, but then when Yahoo, it was pretty much. I was minding my own business, as always. Not looking for more work, not looking for a new job. But Yahoo came along and was like, hey, we think you're really good. We know you're in a great situation, but we want to see you on video. We want you to write columns. We want you to travel. We want you to do this. And for me, I think once you become a columnist, and I think in Buffalo, I actually do miss Buffalo. I'm not going to lie.
Never heard anybody
say
that.
It, right?
Never heard anybody say it. Never heard anybody black say that either.
It's funny, when I was in Buffalo, I remember when we had to do the picks, the weekly picks, like they on Twitter put out all the reporters' pictures, and it was like the Brady Bunch, like 9 people that picked.
Dexter's shaking his head.
And my black face was right in the middle, and I was like, oh, dear.
They're like, which one of these is not like the other?
You know what I mean?
Wait. You were in the middle, and everyone else.
Oh yeah, was white.
Except,
white man.
Except that's kind of probably what it feels like to be a black woman in that space, 100%.
Right? Which is why I joke. Like I check boxes, but I will say I'm aware of that.
Right.
But I also know that I think sometimes people question like, oh, how did she get all these jobs? Because she's black? Because she's a woman? Like, what's up with that? And I know that's a question that people have, but I can confidently say that while I check a lot of boxes, I'm pretty damn good. You know what I mean? Because I put in work. Each stop, like the only reason I've been able to move to different jobs, it's not because I'm flighty or I don't know what I want to do. It's because I'm doing my job, minding my business. Mm-hmm. People take notice, and then they're like, she's good. Like, we want her here. You know what I mean? So I don't mind the questions, but I when I brought up Buffalo, that columnist job, that to me was special because I was the only black female sports columnist writing for
in the country,
a national paper, and for me to be the only. It didn't feel special. It was more like, that's really sad, you know? And I understood in that market in particular, my blackface on the cover of the sports page. And it was clear to them, like, they hired me because they're like, you have a different perspective. We want that. And so I'm like, good, because I got a lot of stuff to say. Mm-hmm. So that's why I liked being in Buffalo. And as much as people were sort of like, ugh, must you always talk about race. Because my first column on the job...
we're going to get to that.
Yeah. My first column on the job was about Kaepernick. I remember LaShawn McCoy said something.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that story.
And so I was just like... And having to explain to readers on Twitter, which isn't the easiest.
Yeah.
With your character limitation.
You know what I mean? It's hard to explain what it in a civil sort of way. You know, it may seem to you like I'm talking about race a lot, but keep in mind, or they'd be like, why do you always have to bring up that you're a black woman? Like, you know, just write about sports. And so being a black woman...
they gave you to stick to sports?
You know, right. But it's like being
We've
a black
woman... We've had a few other podcasts about that, too.
Yeah.
Being a black woman colors everything that I see and think, and the stories that resonate with me, and also how people interact with me. You know, like that Tyrod Taylor piece that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason he felt comfortable talking to me and talking about, hey, in this market, when I go to these press conferences, I don't know if these people really want me here. If I don't feel like it feels different when they're asking me questions. I think my background and being a psych major, all that stuff, I think it plays into why people feel comfortable with me. But it's important that perspective it's different, which is why it's important. So doing the Redskins job at the Post, I loved being at the Washington Post, but I also knew I could be doing more. And not saying that the Redskins beat isn't sufficient or it's not great enough. People have come through the Washington Post on that beat and gone on and killed it. But I know for me, I wanted more of an idea of like, okay, when am I going to get to do some of the other things that we talked about? And so when Yahoo came, I was like, I was only at the Post 9 months. And I think when I talk about the hate or people being like, ooh, are you sure?
I want to know who's hating.
Are you sure you want to do that? I mean, if you, and it wasn't just like, it was people that I didn't even expect were like, oh man, like if you go on and you leave the Post, like you're never going to be able to work here again. And I was like, I get that.
So
or it's like, oof, gosh, you left Buffalo after 2 months, and now the Post after it's just not a good look. Like you're gonna be a vagabond walking around. Like nobody's gonna you're not gonna be attached to anything. And I think leaving the Post.
So? Wait, I'm confused with those people. You went from. I just want to be clear for the people too. You went from beat writer to columnist,
beat writer
to beat writer again for a great institution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To now going to Yahoo and being the senior NFL writer. And I always joke with Howard Beck about how that senior in your name sounds really good. I know you like it, right?
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
And being able to write columns now, yeah.
Right. And I've loved some of the work you've done and got to touch upon some of the stuff like the race and stuff that you want to talk about.
Right.
Who's there saying like, nobody's going to remember that you had this amount of jump in this many time because you're going to go on and do even better stuff. Nobody's going to remember that. I almost am perplexed at why those people are so apprehensive.
I think because this business, as we've seen, slashing jobs, there are a lot of good reporters that are out of work right now.
Yeah.
And so people are sort of like what is she doing? Like why would she leave so many good jobs? Like, I think, and I really do think leaving the Post, to me, it said more about other people's insecurities than it did my own. Because for me, it was difficult leaving a place because my whole career, like when I was at Newsday, I'm like, I know I want to be at the Washington Post. Like, I know I'm good enough to be at the Washington Post. And I don't say that in a cocky way. It's like I work really hard, right? And so to me, to get to that point where you're like, I made it. I made it to the place I've always been trying to go. And now my goal was to be the first Black female sports columnist for the Washington Post. That was the goal. So for me to walk away from that was not easy. But I looked at, okay, the next 2 years, I could be on the Redskins beat, or I could be writing about different things. I could be using my voice. I could also be on video, which, to me, writing is always going to be my signature. But so many people over the years have talked to me about, like, you got to do the on-air. Like, you have to, like, incorporate that into what you do. Because you need to be able to go on air and talk about a story. If you're going to be a storyteller by any means, one of those means is on air. It's on radio. It's on all this stuff.
Right.
And so a lot of people are like, Yahoo, gosh, I mean, are you going to have a job in a couple of years? I mean, it's so volatile.
Yeah, like you were going to work for AOL or
I
something.
mean, but here's the thing. But you know what's funny? But here's the thing. So like Yahoo and like AOL and Verizon, like it's all this one conglomerate thing.
That is true.
And so people are like, Yahoo, it seems really unstable. But I feel like even in 2 years, I honestly said worst case scenario, 2 years, Yahoo's like, yeah, we gotta let you go. Like there's staff changes, you gotta go. I was like, what can I do in those 2 years? And I thought what I'm able to do over here, to me, would be greater than what I'm doing over here. Because I know from jump, all 32 teams are, at my feet, basically, as far as like, if I say I want to write an Anthony Lynn profile on the Chargers, and I did that. If I want to do a Troy Aikman profile and sit down with one of the greatest quarterbacks, I could do that. So to me, it was all about the opportunities. And I think that because it terrifies me that I have like, it's almost like, what do you want to do? It's like, well, shoot, I don't know. Like, come up with some ideas. It's so you have the freedom that you didn't have on a beat, and you can write more meaningful things. And then something like a Kareem Hunt thing. At the Washington Post, we have columnists there, so it's like if I wanted to get my say-so,
you want to go get
I don't think that was happening.
Right.
Here, it's like, boom, I want to write about this.
Backpack Broadcasting continues to bring you the best original sports content, but now you can get more of the content you love. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, or the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. All this exclusive content comes via Patreon. There are tiered levels of patronage, and each Backpack Broadcasting patron receives exclusive perks. Your support helps Backpack Broadcasting create more of the original content that you love. Visit Backpack Broadcasting's Patreon page and become a patron today.
So I want
senior title.
The senior title. Yo, I like that. Yeah. You brought up Kareem Hunt, and there's a lot we can go into with the NFL. Brian and I can both say I have watched less of the NFL in the last 2 seasons. Last season, I actually didn't watch it all. I didn't even watch Super Bowl. Yeah. I still kept up to date. I read other people.
Yeah. I fell asleep during the Super Bowl, but I told you that story.
But I was just annoyed with not just what happened with Kaepernick. It also, people always ask me, is it just Kaepernick? Like, no. It was what happened with Ray Rice and Janae Rice, the injustice I've seen to women, the attitudes in the NFL towards domestic violence has made me just kind of sour on the league.
Eric Reed now.
Yeah, these kinds of things have soured me on the league.
Yeah.
What I have liked from you, and I've never said this to you, is that even though, you cover the NFL, you've been critical of the NFL. You've been critical of some of the things covered up here, like the Kareem Hunt piece that you had. You said you wanted to write that. With what happened at the time and what we saw in the video with Kareem Hunt, why was it so important for you to write something about that and be critical of how everything was handled there?
So that week, it was Sunday, Reuben Foster's released by the 49ers.
Yep.
Him being released doesn't count as a transaction until Monday, right?
Yep.
By Tuesday, he's claimed by the Redskins.
Claimed off waivers by the Redskins. Yep.
A team I just finished covering, right? Then by Friday afternoon, you had the Kareem Hunt video. So the whole week, I was like, what? Like, what is happening? Yeah. So I said to my editor probably Friday, like, I want to write something post it Sunday on all of this, the whole week and just the craziness of it. I have no idea what I want to say because I'm still trying to work through it. I think being a woman does, like I said, it filters how I process things, but it's more than that. It's sort of, it's just bothersome that, again, it's TMZ. It felt like Ray Rice again in that TMZ was the catalyst for all of it, as far as we got the video. It's like, okay, well, how is TMZ getting this video? Okay, they're obviously paying people. Okay, is this something that the NFL... Like, is the NFL really doing everything it says it can to get to the heart of what is really happening, right? Oh, well, she wouldn't talk to us, so we didn't talk to... it's just like, to me, it just... The fact that we had a system in place where Reuben Foster could get cut and then like within 48 hours be on another team. Like, I understand the NFLPA has its, it's got to protect its players as far as, like, this man is, why should we cut off his earning potential? All that stuff. I get it all. But to me, it just, the optics of that entire week, and for the Redskins to be the only team to put in a waiver claim. The Redskins, who have been dysfunction central. You talk about Jets dysfunction. Like, the Redskins, and they have great people in that building, but overall, how they do things between the name and between, we got cheerleaders talking about stuff, and we got, it's just like, what is happening? And because I covered them, I felt it was important to write about it. And so going back to people that said, like, why would you leave the Washington Post? Okay, so I wrote that column. Did crazy numbers, right? But that column, I got called to be on NPR. Did the Bill Rhoden podcast.
Yep.
Did videos for Yahoo talking about, hey, in my column I wrote, because I'm a columnist, senior writer here at Yahoo, this is what I wrote, this is what I felt. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like the platform, it allows you more exposure. You know what I mean? So it's all part of trying to use your voice and have it amplified in different ways.
It seems like, I know there was positive reactions to I know Brian and I read it, and I know I retweeted it, and I was very proud when he did the Kareem Hunt column, and Bill Rhoden and other people in their podcast. I listened to that, and they talked to you about it. Did you have any negative reaction? Because I know you obviously got a lot of the negative pushback too.
Of course.
Of course, to stick to sports people, I would imagine.
Get in the kitchen. Get in the kitchen.
Somebody really said get in the kitchen?
Yo, you gotta be on Twitter, bro. People say that all the time.
It had been a while since I got the kitchen one. Damn. To the point where I found it humorous, like I think last week or the week before. But I also got, I think I was a slut or something. There's always something. There's always, so you get the negative feedback.
Creative ones, obviously.
Very creative.
Trust me, for everything you write, the great thing about Yahoo is like, okay, so the Troy Aikman thing, I was told like it got almost 1 million hits on the website, right?
Jesus
Which is like
Christ.
insane, right?
Yeah.
I don't read. That's great, but I cannot read Yahoo comments because. Like,
I wouldn't do it.
You know what I mean? Because it's just
you're gonna. It's just too much.
It's like I forget it. I'd be at the promenade. Drinking by myself.
Now I feel like the promenade is going to be this thing to do when like stuff gets real. You got to go to the promenade.
Gotta go to the promenade.
See, this is, you set up the callback jokes.
But maybe I've helped other people. So if somebody else is going to become a mom or a dad, or they're going through some stressful time in your life,
need that time to be.
Oh, no doubt. I'm not even shaming myself for it. Yeah. You need that time. You got to go take the time and do what you got to do. Or even if it's like Kim said, where you got to lay on the sidewalk. No judgment here. If you got to lay on the sidewalk, do what you got to do. Like, that's totally fine.
Yes.
So that's totally fine.
I mean, and going back to the whole NFL thing. So I just thought of this. I'm covering a UFC event this week in Brooklyn. In the main event, you don't know the two people probably because neither of you probably watch mixed martial arts.
Nah.
In the co-main event is Greg Hardy.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is his first fight with the UFC. Because he was previously on, he was fighting independently on, I forgot what the name of it is, but it's too long to even say it. And now he's in the co-main event against a nondescript heavyweight, so they're kind of doing that now. And interestingly enough, on the same card, I don't even know if I told you about this, but I don't know if you know Paige Vanzant. She's super popular. Flyweight.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she is fighting against a woman, Rachel Ostovic. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
And one of the two of them is domestic violence survivor.
Rachel.
Or victim, I should say.
Yeah, on the same card.
Wow.
She was abused by her husband, and I think they're still together. This was not even that long ago. This was like late November, I think. TMZ put out some photos. They uncovered some photos.
The husband was arrested, charged with anything?
I think so. I have to look into that more. But with Greg Hardy, it's tone deaf on the UFC's part, to say the least. But they said that they cleared it with her first. For whatever reason, they were pretty adamant about putting Greg Hardy on this card.
Right.
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it just shows that if you are talented, as far as his NFL career went, for him to get a second chance with the Cowboys when it was clear the issues that when he was a Panther, like that was the Reuben Foster thing. It's like when you have NFL execs on other teams, like, yeah, man, I was shocked that the Redskins put in a waiver claim. You know, it's like other people in the same job capacity as you are feeling like, you know what, he's not really trying to touch that right now.
Especially in that league.
Like, it's just, like, to me, it. Now, I've never met Reuben Foster. I don't know the man. I know that charges got dropped or whatever. But I just think, to me, it just speaks to, if he were just a scrub. Like, the only reason Ray Rice didn't get to come back is because Ray Rice was 30-something. Yeah. Right, right. Like, so that's why I'm really interested to see, I said this on NPR, I'm really interested to see what the career trajectory for Kareem Hunt is, because he's like 22 or something like that.
Doesn't he have interest from the Bears right now?
Oh, I saw yesterday on Twitter. I was flying back from New Orleans yesterday, but I saw like the Bears wouldn't rule out like something like being interested in him, something like that.
Of course,
that means they're interested.
So I mean, that's what, because he's a young guy. So there is no, with Ray Rice, it was easy to say, well, like, is it worth it?
Yeah, he was already like 30, right?
Yeah, he was. He was showing,
didn't he have like less than 3 yards of carry?
Yeah, he was not running the ball.
No, it was the end of the line. So for NFL, like, I think his body of work was enough reason for teams to say, like, no thanks.
But when you say that and you look at what happened with Ray Rice and what we think could happen with Kareem Hunt, I think maybe all of us would say he's probably going to get another opportunity. When that happens, we don't know.
This is the same league that welcomed back Richie Incognito.
Yeah.
With
what
open
kind
arms.
of message do you think that says from the NFL towards women? Because I look at it as like they've shown over a period of time that we don't necessarily care about women, although society has shown that in general.
Yeah, I think sports is interesting in that it mirrors society.
Yeah.
It teaches society a lot of lessons.
Word.
I find because I often get asked what do you think as a woman covering the NFL? And as much as I understand the question, sometimes I often try to redirect it like my male colleagues should be as upset or frustrated or curious or demanding answers as the women. You know what I mean?
I like that you do that.
That's the only way it changes.
Because, yes, as, what's the message that the NFL is sending to women? Well, we care about Breast Cancer Month. We will pink up this whole league.
When there's money involved.
Yep.
And
Same thing with the military.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's always the strategic, targeted initiatives that show we care. But heaven forbid if you want to wear pink because your mother died of breast cancer, but you want to wear pink all season. Oh, no, we can't do that. That violates, we are strictly about October. You know what? It's just like, there's just so many things that are hypocritical about the NFL. And as a woman, yes, it bothers me. Yep. I think it does send a message just to fans in general that if you take a step back, we all love football. As problematic as it may be a sport, as far as, guys just ramming into each other.
I don't know about we all, but I hear you.
Oh, right. Okay. Football fans. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the reasons why people were football fans.
Yeah, football fans love the sport. But I think if you take a step back and look at it objectively, I mean, criticizing the NFL doesn't mean that I don't think it's an entertaining game and there are lessons to be learned from it. But there are things that when you're looking at these owners, when you're looking at the commissioner who really does the bidding of these owners, it's sort of like there are a lot of things that make you go like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and it's like remember with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Who was the player? The corner from Philly that he set up a whole thing so that they could use money towards
Malcolm Jenkins?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know why his name was escaping me. But I was wondering, like, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's another one of those strategic
the players'
things.
coalition type
stuff?
Stuff?
Where they're trying to put money behind it, and Eric Reed had a whole issue with that.
Yeah, no, because I covered Josh Norman with the Redskins. He's a part of it. There's like 12 guys that are now still a part of the players' coalition.
Only 12?
Yeah.
Oh.
I get it. I think to not recognize the work that Colin Kaepernick does in the community, right, is really just, if you're gonna ignore it, then you're willfully ignoring this guy does great work in the community. To ignore that guys like Demario Davis, Josh Norman. I know Josh McCown and Kelvin Beachum. Like, there are a lot of guys that Chris Long, I think, is a part of the players.
Yeah, yes.
These guys, like, are meeting with lawmakers, are literally I remember doing a story on Josh Norman and Demario Davis, who used to be a Jet, now with the Saints, flew at night to go to Texas, to go to Walmart and pack book bags with toys and stuff like that for kids who had been separated at the border from their parents, And it's sort of like, as much as I know there's friction between the Players Coalition and Kaepernick and Reed doesn't like Jenkins because he feels like he's co-opted and,
sold out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get the friction. But for me, I think the great thing is these men in their own ways, whether they're backed by the NFL or not, or their respective teams, are doing something. Kenny Stills, you know what I mean? In Miami, like, these guys are literally putting in the work. And that, to me, is the most important thing. Yeah.
I think it does. Where do you think the NFL is right now in terms of, I don't know if we're in this post-Kaepernick, the whole kneeling for the flag. That kind of died down this season.
And they're so happy about that.
And of course they are.
Stuff like that makes me not want to watch.
Which, Kim, makes me always say that speaks a lot about the owners in the NFL, as it always has. 100%. But it also speaks a lot about what might be the ideals of the majority of the NFL fan base, right? Like, in that a lot of those people that were anti-Kaepernick or anti-kneeling made it about the flag when we know that it was not about that.
Right. It's a convenient thing. It's like, again, it's all convenient redirection. It's sort of like, let's not pay attention to what he's actually saying. Let's focus on... Now, I will say, there are a lot of things about what Kaepernick did that I don't like. I'm not down with the pig socks. Not, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like the Che Guevara, I like all that stuff. Like Castro, to me, I find some things problematic, but to get caught up in that, I feel like that's if you really just don't want to pay attention to the message. You know what I mean? If you're going to use I can't hear what the man is saying because I can't focus on anything but the pig socks. I think, unfortunately, the NFL, it's a business. These owners are business people. Mm-hmm. So the bottom line is all that matters. So it's not at all surprising that Kaepernick threatens the bottom line. If you are going to sign him, he will affect your bottom line. If you're the owner of whatever team, and I understand the Panthers signed Eric Reed. Eric Reed doesn't have... He's
not a quarterback.
If Eric Reed walked down the street, most people don't know who he is right now.
And like you said, the position. He's not a quarterback.
He's a safety.
It's not... It's just... He does not bring the same cachet nationally as a Kaepernick. So if you are going to sign Kaepernick, you're going to have people... Like, I was in Buffalo, briefly, but when I was in Buffalo, I remember driving to the facility and seeing veterans waving the American flag outside, like protesting out, literally on the sidewalk of the Bills facility.
They were protesting for the team to not sign Kaepernick?
I was like, what?
They should be protesting for the team to have better management, but that's all another.
They should have signed Kaepernick. They had your boy, the Peterman.
Yeah. Not my boy. Pitt, we don't claim him. No. Now,
Come on.
Kim, we're not claiming him.
I rest my case, Your Honor. Thank you.
Kim,
all right? Okay.
Kim, we are not claiming him. Why can't you just talk? Why can't we talk about Larry Fitzgerald all day? Why can't we do that?
I'm sure.
Darrell Revis.
My guys. Like, come on. Anyway, I'm
soon
sorry.
to be Hall of Famer.
So I saw them and I drove into the facility and literally walked back outside and said, "What are you guys protesting?" They were mad because Bills players had knelt and in response to Trump saying the SOBs, like players these veterans were upset that and it was like 100 yards away from the Bills locker room. You have veterans on the street waving the flag. So I did it ran A1. I did a whole column about the juxtaposition of, I get the flag means a lot to veterans. I get it. Mm-hmm. I also get where I went back into the locker room, like, hey, so you see those guys outside? And they're like, oh, yeah, I rolled down my window, talked to them the other day. And so the players are saying, our president is calling our colleagues, us, guys that in the league, he's calling us SOBs. Like, that's not okay. Yeah. So we're doing this. And the whole point of the call is sort of like, you have people with obviously valid points on both sides. But at some point, each side's going to have to listen to the other, or you guys are going to have to come together and do something of value. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and see,
that's the problem.
That's the problem because people aren't going to come together.
Because they don't,
like.
Right.
It's sort of the same thing that you were talking about before, where as it pertains to like women in sports, right? And if not enough men are speaking up for you guys, then things are just going to stay the same.
Yeah, because then everybody would just say
it's a women's issue.
And it's a women's issue, and the women get labeled as angry or whatever names they want to call you. This is why you get people say, go into the kitchen, or this is why this happens.
Like, more people didn't start caring about the LGBT community until straight people started sticking up for them.
You need allies, because at that point, it can't only be a women's issue, can't only be this issue or that issue. Like, everybody has to, everybody has to speak about things that don't directly affect them in order, like, you know what I mean? Like, you need that.
I'm intrigued by these matchups for the championship. I think this could be a really good championship weekend. We got the Pats versus the Chiefs. I did watch that Monday Night Classic earlier this year. I shouldn't even say classic. I hate doing that, calling that too early. But it was a really great game. And then I did also watch that Rams and Saints game this year. I did actually see both of these games. So I'm excited about these conference finals matchup. Who do you like? I know you'll be in New Orleans.
I will.
Well, quick trip.
Yeah, I just got back yesterday.
Kim and I are always
again.
on the road.
Yes.
Who knows where I will be this weekend with the snow that's coming here in the Northeast.
They're sending you straight to Kansas City, probably.
Oh, boy.
Who knows? Who knows?
You better let me know.
I will let you know.
We got to come back.
I know. Who do you like in these matchups, and what storylines do you find most intriguing?
Not New England, right?
So
it better not be New England.
What's funny? You know what's funny? I was still in Buffalo. Oh, no. I did a podcast when I was with the Post, and, the woman who was doing the podcast was like, okay, who's your early Super Bowl pick? And I was like, I don't know. Just put the Patriots. I'll just say the Patriots, because they're always in the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, I said as a joke. Now, what I find and I tweeted this the other day, like, we have all been waiting for the end. We have all been waiting to write the definitive, they are done.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, big mad right now. He is just like, hashtag still here.
Yep.
All you suckers, yeah, I'm still good.
All the people picking the Chargers last week.
They're mad about,
Geno Smith would have gotten a ring if they went to the Super Bowl and won. You know that, right?
You want that. Kim's rolling her eyes for people who are not watching because Brian loves Geno Smith.
Relax.
Wait, I'm trying to do the gaze. I don't know how to be
Just
that.
grill him. You got to just look at him. Like,
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so creepy.
She doesn't want to hate on me. It's okay. Yeah.
No, that take is not. That's a weird hill to die on. But
no, I'm joking. I'm legitimately joking.
I don't.
Phillip Rivers
throw the podcast away.
I don't think that he is.
I did want Phillip Rivers to be on that stage. Because, I would have wanted to see if he would, bring all his children out to celebrate if he won a Super Bowl.
Now he's shaming people with kids.
I'm not shaming.
Come on. Can people just live?
This is why Kim is good, too. Kim, like me, knows how to bring it back. Yeah, why are you shaming people with kids? Yeah, can he not bring all his 17
I'm not
kids
shaming him. I just wanted to see how that would unfold.
Of course they'd all be on stage.
Do you never trust the process in life?
Oh, my God, the process. You sound like Gase right now.
Yeah, you
do. Our process.
We're going to get back to Tom Brady and the death of the Patriots.
Yeah. So that to me has been set. I even said on that podcast I did earlier in the year, that's the story I want. I'm anxious to cover the end of them. And the fact that they refuse to die, I love it. Because Gronk literally is a skeleton out there. You know what I mean? And I know because I had him on my fantasy team this year, and he was not good. So shout out to Todd Gurley, who got me to the.
I picked Todd Gurley with the first pick, and I did not.
Me and my brother had Le'Veon Bell.
Well, good job.
Good job by you. Good job by you.
We still made the playoffs. we still somehow made the playoffs.
But so the Patriots, I think. They are Bill and Brady, what they've been able to do. I mean, you could say that this team, this roster, people are like, oh, they don't have anything on this roster. Okay, well, look at last week. I think them, the sage Tom Brady, the older vet, 40 whatever years old, going against this young kid in Mahomes, who is. I mean, the kid's the MVP. He is such a great talent.
He's so exciting.
So exciting to watch.
Man.
He makes me want to watch football.
Yeah,
I'm curious,
really
though,
good.
how the weather impacts the game plans. Because because Mahomes can beat you a number of ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he could do I'm going to run this way, and I'm going to just look
it
across the field.
He could probably throw it behind his back. I think he could.
Geno Smith tried to put a ball behind his back once on the goal line in Tennessee. It didn't
Oh,
work out.
I remember that.
Wait, that was on a goal line? I thought it was back.
No.
Or was he just backpedaling?
No, it was on
the goal line.
It was on the goal line.
And that's your boy. But anyway.
I remember. It was like Buff Fumble 2.0.
Yeah, it was like...
Nothing.
Would have been nice if you got it. I'll
Gino's
say that
a good dude. But, just your Gino takes are interesting. So that, I think just the two quarterbacks is going to be great. But I imagine it's going to be a low-scoring... I want to say a low-scoring affair.
You got a low-scoring game for that one.
Because I just wonder how much the weather will impact it.
Yeah, it's so because it's put my AccuWeather hat on now.
Yes, please, man. Tell us the forecast. Let's
go. See, I'm gonna correct you.
Oh, he's not a weatherman.
No,
he's not a weatherman.
No,
I'll be
he's
sorry.
not a meteorologist.
Oh, meteorologist.
I can't stand when people do that to me right now.
That's what people ask me when I tell them, "Oh, Dexter works AccuWeather."
No, this happened to me. I'm out in D.C. this week for the snowstorm, and people are like, "Yo, so can you tell me what the weather?" Yo, I'm a national weather reporter. I'm not a
See, once you get that national weather reporter.
Oh, let me say this. I like my title as much as you like senior. Okay.
Good point. We both
like it. I like it just as much as you like senior.
Seriously, what's the weather gonna be like?
I don't know.
Can we call somebody?
I'm gonna say check in with me tomorrow.
Or check your phone.
Yeah, you can check the AccuWeather app. AccuWeather should be paying me for this extra.
I did your promo.
Yeah, my podcast.
Exactly.
I saw y'all on ABC the other day.
You saw who on ABC?
They were showing the AccuWeather forecast on Scott Van Pelt's show, not ABC, ESPN.
Oh, okay, because we provide information.
We provide.
Yeah, we do. It's not like I have anything to do with it. Yeah, national. Snow. I can say this.
Snow is in
There's
the forecast.
There's supposed to be significant snow in the forecast. It's supposed to come through the Midwest and up to the Northeast.
He sounds like a weatherman to me, but okay.
That sounds like I know how to do my job.
Yes,
really
it
good
does.
At my job,
I'm impressed.
Which might make me get quick jobs like you did.
Yeah, no.
And people are gonna be mad too.
You're gonna be so mad.
Before he started the job, I remember some of us were asking you, like, "Yo, what do you know about weather?" Because it was just so random.
That's awesome.
I mean, I know enough because I've done stuff when I was working in News 12 where I was reporting out.
That's awesome, though.
That's cool.
That's the key.
And I was telling Kim about some stuff. I'm trying to work on something now. I'll talk more about it with sports and weather is going to come through, but there'll be more on that. So
stay tuned.
Kim and I may do some stuff again. It may happen, so that'll be more on that. You know about this because I've told you about this, but I'll talk more about it. Anyway,
I do.
So, yes.
Weather can impact it, no doubt, and that's why you think it could be a low-scoring game.
I hope not, but I think so. And I think if the weather's really bad, I think that's advantage Patriots. I really do.
Are you picking the Patriots?
It is hard for me to pick against Bill and Brady. It really is. Because I've seen it too much. Like all those years I covered the Jets, once they were done, I jumped on having to cover the Patriots. I've seen it so many times. And if they are able to get to the Super Bowl, I mean, this season would be one of the best coaching years for Bill Belichick because they just don't have the same team. They don't even have the tight end. I mean, he's just out there.
And you still got Julian Edelman putting work like he did last week.
I mean, great. Okay, so Saints.
Yes, which you will be in the building for that.
So I was in the building for Saints Eagles. Ooh, child, that stadium shook. If I hear Chopper Style one more time, I'm going to put a bullet in my head.
That's the NO for you.
Oh my gosh. But I love the city's energy, the state. I mean, it literally was like Jurassic Park. Like, it was like shake. Like, you had like a cup of water. It was like shaking. Like, this press box was swaying. And so to me, I'm curious how the Rams will fare in that environment. You know, like, that I get it. Sean McVay, offensive mastermind, genius, yada, yada, yada.
I think the Saints might blow them out.
I'm really, like...
Ooh.
This is a tough matchup, but having seen the Saints come out against the Eagles and not look good.
Yep.
And for them to capitalize on Eagles' mistakes, and I was there, poor Alshon Jeffrey, and that ball, that
if I was,
tragic.
you know what I would have done
So
if I was
tragic.
Alshon Jeffrey after that game? I would have went to the promenade and sat down.
It was bad.
He needed to go to the promenade.
He needs to just put up a tent on the promenade because it was so awful watching him because he's like, yo, you know, that's on me. Like, the whole city of Philadelphia, that's on me. And he's like, but we'll be back next year. And it's like, okay, well Nick Foles won't be back here. Yeah. Now, and to the credit of the Eagles players, they all, from Nick Foles to Zach Ertz, like, everybody was saying, we don't win a Super Bowl without Alshon Jeffrey last year. True. So let's remember that we win together and we lose together. Obviously, it's a tough spot in that moment. You felt like, okay, here comes some Foles magic. Okay, all right. Looked like it was happening. You know, and then, I mean, in the way the ball just, like, completely went through his hand, it's just like...
That was only like his 4th drop all year or something, right?
He doesn't drop. Yes.
He normally
he does not drop.
That was crazy.
That's the sad thing. So in this matchup, I don't know. I'm curious with the Rams. Like I get it. I get the Rams are good. I get it. Sean McVay is a genius. I feel like I need this to see them beat the Saints to feel like they're legit. Is that terrible? I feel like I'm hating, but I feel like
no. But that makes sense. I mean, given the way Jared Goff has looked lately.
I'm just not like
and that sort of play is not really sustainable through the playoffs all the time.
I mean, you got the thing about the Saints. Like, granted, Eagles made a lot of mistakes, right? But you have to be able to come back. Like, okay, they knock you in the mouth, you know, and you got to be able to come back. And they did, and they figured out how to win. Like, it wasn't a pretty Saints game. If you're a Saints fan, like I know some Saints fans. They're freaking out like, we have not looked great lately. You know, like, it hasn't been the same explosive. You know, you can't keep going to Michael Thomas all the time. Like,
right, yeah.
I get it. But to me, when I watch that game, it's like, you guys won, though. You know, and good teams in those moments, you figure it out and you adjust. So yeah, I think the Saints will pull it out. I want to see Saints, Patriots in Atlanta, so Falcons fans just go berserk. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
because
and it's gonna be, you know, in that scenario, meaning Rams Saints, you would normally, if you just go with the better quarterback, I mean, you're picking Drew Brees and you're fine with that.
Yeah,
it's like that's a bet
I'm with you. I'm going with,
especially since he's at home.
I think them being at home is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I trust you being there because you were in the building last week. I like Patriots. I was a little undecided in the other game because the Rams might have that revenge factor from the previous game, and that's kind of creeping in there for me, but I haven't liked how Goff has looked, so that's another thing. I'm leaning towards, I'm probably going with you. Like, we agree on something. I'm kind of going for once.
Well, we agree that I'm fabulous. So
we did agree, and all your columns were great and all that other stuff. Now, college sports, we don't agree with. So, you know, that's just...
Let me know when y'all beat Duke. Let me just let me know.
Yo, here's the thing.
Let me know.
I think Pitt plays Duke this Saturday.
Okay.
I
await the
basketball.
text.
In what?
I await the text.
Basketball.
If I don't
women,
if
wrestling,
I don't get a text from you, I'll know exactly how that game ended.
And if the Pitt wins, I will clip what you just said there. And it's going out on Twitter for everyone to see. And you got to retweet it.
First of all, you guys beating Duke... That doesn't mean you're better than us. If you put up 96 points and beat Duke, okay, I'm gonna give you something.
Let me tell you something.
Are you guys playing at home also?
I believe that game is at Cameron Indoor, but I am not 100% sure.
I don't know if I believe you.
I don't think that game's at home. We just played two in a row at home, and we've won.
All right.
You know how bad it was last year being a Pitt basketball fan?
Okay.
It was bad.
So if you guys put up 96 and beat Duke, because we put up like 95.
Let me tell you something.
But what if they blow out Duke?
If we beat Duke, let me tell you, Kimberly's like, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
I just want, you know.
Let me say something real quick.
I don't want to be totally ignorant.
If we beat Duke 66-65,
no.
You think I can?
You got to put up almost 100.
Why?
Because that's what we did.
But what if it's like
we're better defensively?
What if it's like 73-58?
No.
So you're not going to respect it?
No.
Unless they put 96?
No.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, now I feel like taking back everything nice I ever said. Or better yet, I'll tell you what. I'll do one promise I can make you, Kim. If Duke happens to blow out Pitt, you know where I'm going to be on Saturday.
Where are you going to be?
At the promenade.
Can you just name this the promenade?
I'm right.
Honestly,
But I feel like Kimberly, if something ever happens, Kim, you have to go to the promenade.
Yes.
And you have to take a picture for me.
Yes.
I don't have to
100.
see you. You just got to put it and just be like, Dex, you already know.
Yes.
Or if you can't make it because you're traveling, just take a picture of the promenade.
I'm going to be at the promenade. I'm going to have a cup for people to walk by, throw some change in because it's going to be, yes.
I didn't say you had to look like you were homeless. I didn't say all that.
Because I'll be so depressed.
It'll be a wine glass.
I thought it was going to be a cup with like wine or something.
Well, Oh, as long as I'm not pregnant. Yes, it will be wine.
Yes.
Wine will totally be in that cup.
You're not about harming the kids.
No.
You're not about that on this podcast.
Kmart loves the kids. So.
Yeah, so that's great. All right.
Wait, are they playing at home or not?
I'm sorry. You really want to know this?
Because
at some point, I kind of checked out. I was like, I really don't care about.
Can y'all bet?
I mean, I don't make AccuWeather money, so I'm not really trying.
Stop it!
Stop.
Listen.
First of all, I can tell you.
I'm not trying.
We will be maybe close to the same level of that. Notice the difference in our title.
The National Weather.
But Brian? What do I not have in my title? That
senior.
You know what senior sounds like? Paid. That's what senior sounds like.
Listen,
senior.
I'm just minding my business.
This is a conversation that is not for me.
I'm just minding my business. Head down.
Kimberly keeps telling me. But you know what I know? Kimberly just told me the words I got to keep applying to my career. I'm just minding my business, keeping my head down, do your job, and the good things happen, right?
Mm-hmm. See, I'm not even in this.
For Q's grads, yes.
I'm not even in this tax bracket. I'm not even in this tax playing game. You know what I'm saying?
See, don't even act like don't try to act like Kimberly and I are balling because we know the struggles too.
Compared to me,
struggles.
You just gotta take the advice that Kimberly said. Mind your business.
Yeah,
keep your head down.
Do the work.
Do what you gotta do. Do your work.
Oh, I've been doing that.
Yeah, you got to look up occasionally for the haters because Kimberly said.
Oh, the haters are there.
So you gotta
the haters are there. The people that are like,
they're already there.
Can you believe she switched jobs?
Can you look up? Often? I don't know why I can't look up the pit.
Because
my
Wi-Fi
went out, right?
Oh,
yeah.
The Wi-Fi don't work.
It did.
All of a sudden,
the Wi-Fi went out.
Hold on.
Shocking.
Wow.
That's okay. I'm gonna text you on Saturday.
You think the both of us just made it out?
I just say, I'm gonna text you on Saturday. I'm be in New Orleans, hopefully eating a beignet, and then I'm gonna text you and be like, what's that pit score? What's that pit score?
And then I'm gonna text you back the picture of the promenade if the score is bad. like that's how it's gonna be, and you're gonna text me a picture eating the beignet.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
like what I told you, Dex. I told you.
I like it.
That's your prediction for what's gonna happen?
I like it.
But if Pitt does win, and if Pitt scores 97 points, because according to you they have to do this.
Yeah. For it to matter.
Oh, I'm gonna have something for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna just take a big orange and step on it.
Oh, Jesus.
And send you a picture of that.
Oh, Jesus.
Orange crushed. Take that, senior writer.
See, this is no internet.
Yeah.
See, because your computer, your Wi-Fi knows that y'all not winning. That's why.
Yo.
The computer already knows.
We just gotta thank you for coming out. We appreciate you, even in your rudeness towards my school.
We gotta pick a number.
Before you go, we do gotta pick a number.
Pick a number 61. 61 is god awful, probably the worst one we've ever had in terms of athlete selections. So I had to throw in some special ones like Shaquille O'Neal because apparently his career high was 61 points.
She was like, she ain't never won 60.
Also, LeBron James, his career high was 61 points, which I did not know. That was against the Charlotte Bobcats. I don't think Dexter's going to go for that because he doesn't like going for stuff like that.
No, I don't. It has to be the jersey number.
All right, so good luck with the jersey numbers. We have, and also Roger Maris is 61 home runs. Yeah. But you don't care about baseball. So,
I do.
So, Nate Newton. Remember who that is?
Yes.
Because I vaguely do. But that's not really from my...
He played for...
All right, next one.
Can you just try to do a generational thing? Like, that's not really
He did. He tried to call us old.
Yeah, that's it.
No.
I mean, he don't know how... I mean...
Nope, keep it moving. You are not even going to explain yourself.
I just graduated grad school like a few years ago, so I don't know why he's trying to play
I'm not saying... Yo, I like...
Continue with your little numbers.
Marcus Cannon.
Oh, I don't like these numbers.
Damn, I thought you were gonna have something nice to say about him.
No, I'm just
I was thinking maybe you probably did a story on him at one point for some reason.
The next couple, it gets a little bit better from what
Josh Beckett.
Ugh.
Oh, you're a Yankee fan.
Yes.
I'm not a Yankee fan. I was a Yankee fan.
Oh, Levon Hernandez. This is actually my pick.
Who I liked.
This is actually my pick.
There's another one.
Miami, I love you.
I can see Kimberly rolling her eyes at the next person.
Bronson Arroyo. Chan Ho Park. What? Oh, are you quiet?
No, nothing. Keep going.
Rick Nash, who just recently retired.
Yes, saw that.
Yeah. And Jesse Roscoe wore one season.
Can I come back when there are better numbers?
Yeah. First of all, you can always come back, and we
can bring you back for something in the 80s because there'll be a good wide receiver there at some point.
So, well, we don't want it to be that long if she comes back. You come back. Kim, you always welcome to come back.
You want to come back in the 70s? Who's in the 70s? Chris Jenkins?
I don't even know.
Chris Jenkins wore 77.
77.
Oh, he's not getting it. He's not getting it because your boy.
My boy wears 77.
Your boy wears 77.
Luka Doncic.
And Anson Carter, black hockey player.
Black hockey player.
Might have to rep. We're gonna get back to that in 16 episodes, but
we'll decide then.
I know 76.
All right, so who are you picking out of these? We always make sure that.
I'm going Levon Hernandez. Yeah. Boy.
Is it? Oh, so we're all in agreement. Yeah. Levon Hernandez.
Yeah. Because right. He's at least good. You know what I mean?
Damn, you're just trying to disrespect everybody else on this list.
The list wasn't great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you did not get a good list.
Listen, I tried. I really tried. Like, I was looking at Football Reference. I was like, yo, you got to be kidding. There's, like, no good Jet. There was, like, no Jet from your time there that wore 61.
He makes it sound like I covered the Jets in 1972 or something.
Yeah, you do. Your time.
2000.
Yo, you're being wild disrespectful. Wild disrespectful.
Back in the dirt.
No, but there was, like, no Jet between, like, 2010 and, like, 2018 that wore 61.
He did refer. He said, I used to read Kimberley Martin back in the day.
I didn't know. I didn't say
He never said that. I'm joking. He never said that.
Nah, he never said that. He took it back. See, now I'm scared.
No, I just wanted to see you give him the evil eye again.
I'm trying.
Look. I will admit this though,
nice.
but between both of us, he's definitely more likable than I am, 100%. So
that's like a very low bar to clear, but okay.
Damn.
Wow, I thought I was actually kind of being
I should be nice to you
because
podcast. I will never get the collection of compliments that I got from Dexter today. I will never get it again.
No, I think we've crossed the bridge in our relationship. I think that I can be complimentary now. Back then when
I was a straight hater.
Yo, I was like, yo, I gotta let her know, man. Like I gotta let her know I'm about this pit life. I gotta let her know. So I had to let her know. Now I look at it that like I can help her out sometime.
We've matured.
She's gonna hit me up and ask me for weather forecast and think I'm a meteorologist.
Hey.
Promenade photos.
Hey, what happens is it's all about the title. She's now senior. You can't disrespect somebody who's got the name senior in the title.
You can't. That's why you work so hard to get the senior title.
There you go. That's it. All right.
That's another note that I'll put in my.
You should.
My
You should definitely store that.
Yeah, write that down.
Write that one down. Words to live by from Kimberley Martin.
Get that title.
There you go.
Yeah. We're gonna talk off air because I need some guidance.
All right, so this is episode 61, the Levon Hernandez episode. We want to have a special thank you.
And you gotta watch Brothers in Exile too.
I do have to watch that.
That's a great. You told me that was great. Great documentary.
Yeah,
special thank you to Kimberley Martin, the best NFL writer in the business.
Okay, I can't even co-sign that. But, I appreciate that.
I'm surprised. I thought your ego was going to let you co-sign that.
No, my ego is very big, but
yeah, I thought your ego was going to be like,
but you know what? You know what I really like about you?
What?
That you're not one of these people who are like fake humble. You know what I mean? Like a lot, like
you're just a jerk.
No.
Well, people say that about me, and I'm like, okay.
We're like the same way in terms of because you you know what I mean though, because like in terms of a lot of other writers, they'll be like, oh, I couldn't have got here without this person and this person and this person, and never give the credit to themselves. When it's like, look, at some point you have to take ownership that you in fact got yourself.
Yeah,
there.
I've had a lot of help. Yeah, I've had a lot of help.
You get a lot of help, no doubt. But at the same time, you got to be like, yo, I got here because I'm nice.
Yeah, I think as a woman, I've kind of had to be okay with saying like, no, I'm good. And it took me a while. I think only within the last 6 months did I get to a point where it's like, it's okay to say, no, there's a reason I'm here. That's okay. It's not conceit. It's because I know the work backs it up. That's all it is.
You got to keep that energy as you keep climbing.
Got to keep that energy.
We're rooting for you. A lot of other people rooting for you. And,
I appreciate that.
That's all it is. But like I said, my favorite NFL writer, the best NFL writer in the business, that is Kimberley Martin, senior NFL writer for Yahoo. Doing a lot better than I am in terms of titles. All right, that's it for episode 61. For Brian Fonseca and the great Kimberley Martin, even though she went to Syracuse and somehow thinks that they're better than Pitt, I'm Dexter Henry. That's it. Until next time, y'all. Peace.